Rec League podcast. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your family, tell your haters. Available on Anchor, Google Podcast, Spotify, Radio Public, Breaker, and Stitcher. At Rec League Podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. At Rec League Pod on Twitter. Episode 30 coming soon. Yo, whether you watching this from Facebook, Twitter, click the link in my Instagram, or YouTube itself. What up, world? So I just watched The Irishman. It is the new movie directed by Martin Scorsese. That's really all you need to know. I don't need to say who's in it, but I will. It stars Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, Al Pacino, Bobby Cannavale, Dominic Lombardozzi. This cast is so fat, and now that the camera is rolling, I completely blanked on who's in this movie, man. Ray Romano. There is a cameo from a rapper. Sebastian Maniscalco. Harvey Keitel. I feel like Martin Scorsese brought back all the OGs one time for one last hurrah. And finally worked with Al Pacino. But Scorsese, man, he's directed some classics, man. He's directed Mean Streets, Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, The King of Comedy, The Last Temptation of Christ, Color of Money, Goodfellas, Cape Fear, The Age of Innocence, Casino, Kundun, Bringing Out the Dead, Gangs of New York, The Aviator, The Departed. Man, the list goes on, man. Shutter Island, Hugo, The Wolf of Wall Street. Like, Scorsese is one of the GOATs. You got Ed Sheeran. He becomes a hitman. Like, something happens. He meets Joe Pesci, and then Al Pacino catches wind that he paints houses, which is code, and it's the story of an old gangster recalling a wild time in his life. Like, that's really the movie, and it's kind of a confession. I got history waiting on this movie. As you can see, this is one of my honorable mentions for the year. And had this been had a release date been announced for this movie in January, this would have been easy one of my top 3 most anticipated movies of the year, because I had heard Martin Scorsese was gonna do a Jimmy Hoffa movie, like another mob movie. I don't know if I heard De Niro. I know I didn't hear Pacino. But I heard Scorsese was directing a movie that revolved around Jimmy Hoffa, maybe before The Wolf of Wall Street came out, maybe even before like Shutter Island came out. Like, whatever websites I was floating around within the past 10 years, I had heard about this, and I was instantly intrigued. And again, like, it came out on Netflix. I think it did like a limited theater run. I think just so the Oscars has no excuse to snub it, because like, acting is top notch. Like, the acting deserves recognition. And I think the theaters, this didn't come out like nationwide in theaters, because it's 3.5 hours long. And I don't think any studio wanted to put hundreds of millions of dollars into making a movie that like an AMC theaters, a Cinemark, would only be able to run like twice a day. Like, it's a long movie, and it's good. And they do, like, I'm gonna say this first, so if you want to call me a hater, you can do it early in the video. They do some de-aging. You know what I mean? Like, Pacino, De Niro, Scorsese's up there, and this story spans decades. I felt like the de-aging on Joe Pesci looked real good. Some of it on De Niro looked good. Like, the first time they show him young, it kind of looked like he was back in a Bronx Tale driving the bus. But then some of it, in some scenes, I'm sorry, man, he looks like he was in a sequel to The Polar Express. And then he just, he's doing like these low level jobs. He comes across Harvey Keitel. Like, Harvey Keitel is tight with Joe Pesci. What's dope to me about De Niro in this movie is that, like, he's the like least powerful dude in practically every scene. He always takes orders. Because Goodfellas, like Jimmy the Gent, Jimmy Conway is one of the most iconic characters he's ever played. Um, Casino, he's running a casino, so he has clout. And like Joe Pesci was always looked at like Raging Bull, like little brother, like sidekick, like second fiddle. And then he's in scenes with Harvey Keitel. He's in scenes with Joe Pesci. He's the outsider to an extent, and everybody has less power than Jimmy Hoffa than Al Pacino in this movie. So like that was cool. Like it's all like Godfather Part Two, Heat, Hate It or Love It, Righteous Kill, The Irishman. Like there's four movies that De Niro and Pacino have done together, and it's so cool seeing these two iconic actors work together. Like I'm telling you, like all like the gangster genre like goats got together to make this movie. Um, and it like some of the makeup, man, like Dominic Lombardozzi looks unrecognizable. Like they do some stuff to make them look younger. They do some stuff to make them look older. So like I'm telling you, like this is like that's why this movie is so long. It's based on a book. It spans like a long story. You like the families would hang out, and there was personal relationships among the dirt that was being done, and then like the stuff I'm telling, like the gangster stuff, like De Niro would go and do his jobs. Like that stuff was interesting. I'm not gonna lie, man. Like I think some of the stuff with Al Pacino was good, like the Teamsters, like union stuff, and some of it was a little, what I'm saying, not necessarily dull, but like less interesting. And then like there's something that happens to Jimmy Hoffa, and then when that's done, that's when loyalties are questioned, and like the real like code of the mob and the gangsters and stuff. Like I don't know if I can do this, cause what I'm saying, cause without trying to spoil anything, man, it's hard. Um, and that's where the story was real interesting. So I don't know, like if you're a fan of this director of these actors, it's worth the watch. I want to watch it again because I like it. It took me it took me like double the runtime to finish it. Like who am I like to try to watch a 3.5 hour long movie on Thanksgiving? Of course, there's gonna be interruptions, and I don't know. Like as long as I've anticipated this, I wanted to give it a 5, but I don't think I had like 5 expectations. Like I just watched Scorsese's whole filmography that I own. I'm not gonna say I watched every single movie he's ever made, and he's got some great movies, man. This is good, but I just don't think it hits the heights of some of his better movies. So, with all that being said, in my opinion, I will say that The Irishman is dope. Um, have you seen The Irishman, man? What you think about it? Positive, negative, somewhere in between? Let me know. So I'm gonna drop a review for Knives Out tomorrow, and it will be in December. And I think because the first weekend in December, I think that Playmobil bootleg Lego movie looking ass movie comes out. I'm not watching that. The weekend after that, Six Underground, Jumanji, Bombshell all come out. Black Christmas comes out too, but I've decided I'm not watching that. So I'll review Jumanji, Bombshell, and hopefully Six Underground sometime within that window. And then I have recently posted reviews for 21 Bridges, for Charlie's Angels, for Midway, for Frozen 2. I feel like something else. I feel like I reviewed something else and now I can't pull it. But just mainly November reviews, man. Check those out, man. I think I forgot. I don't have a poll. I don't have a shout out question. I'll have it tomorrow. Um, so like, subscribe. Let me know your top 5 favorite Scorsese movies. We're chopping it up, talking Scorsese on the podcast this weekend, and check out the podcast, man. These last 3 podcasts for the year are gonna be real fun, man. Like, subscribe, comments. Find me where you find me, man. Don't know where to find me. Watch these credits. Peace.